Atomic Comic Collection Connection, your online shop for comics. Welcome back to Supreme Fuzzler. Thank you for joining me. This is Season 2, Episode 2, Hate Floats. A brilliant episode that truly brings us to a new level of comedy and awesomeness. An episode that just reeks of nothing but brilliant venture, god tier comedy from all our best characters, in my opinion. This is going to be like the way I just began it. 21 is how we start. 21 and 24, although it starts with Gary being called out, and apparently from his mom, which we learn now 21's real name is Gary, and it has him getting a call from 24, who is calling, and he answers with that answer phrase, which is Atomic Comic Collection Connection. Then he gets a call from Monarch, and he's like, I'll put us on three-way, because I have that. 2004 or 5 when this was coming out, when three-way was still really popular and new and not a thing that's easy to do, and now we do like fucking 50 fucking person video conference calls. It's amazing to think about in its own way. I changed my audio, by the way, to a new mic, so I'm hoping it'll be clearer and crisper and I don't have to enunciate myself too hard. Kind of seems like I'm a little too loud, but that's kind of part of this. I can adjust that and hopefully make that work out. And I do appreciate everyone sticking with me for this podcast or just the audio portion of it on YouTube, whatever you're listening to. I guess it's a podcast, whether it's on YouTube or on the podcast formats like Spotify or Pandora. So whatever. Thank you for listening to the podcast, the review podcast thing. But we're continuing to discuss the Venture series, of course. We're going to be going to Venture Brothers Hate Episode 2 of Season 2, Hate Floats. And it's just brilliant. The Monarch starts it up by being like, and you want to guess where I am? And 21 and 24 both give their own answers. 21's like at a good friend's house, and 24's like a Best Western. And he's like, no, I'm in the charred remains of my once flying cocoon. Can anyone tell me why my cocoon's charred? You told us. If everyone remembers, in the trial of the Monarch, and they were ordered to destroy the cocoon. And in Return of the Spider Skull Island at the end of Season 1, you see the cocoon. At the beginning of Season 2, Episode 1, Powerless in the Face of Death, you see the cocoon being destroyed at the very beginning of the episode. So 21, 24 are basically like, you can't kill us for following orders, and Monarch's like, I'm not gonna lose my temper. Please just summon the rest of us and can't get over here. There aren't anyone else. They kind of went over to Monstroso after you went inside a prison. And so Monarch's like, all right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the shower and the rest of my bathroom. And I want this place fully manned and fully operational once I am done. All right? And they're like, got it, boss. And 21 is like, hell yeah, 24, we're back in action. And it's like, all right, you heard him. I'm going to be at your house in 5. Be outside. I don't want to talk to your mom. You got it. I will be there. And after they get off the phone call, 21 Gary starts going into the and he like does a beep boop 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 on his fucking door, and like opens his door and shows the Monarch costume that he has, his henchman outfit. And he's like, Daddy's home. And he gets it on like and then 24 shows up in his car, and as he starts to honk and talk, he's like da 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 da. Such an amazing part. Truly, this beginning is just so funny and brilliant. Watch this episode. Watch this series. You'll love it. After this, we go through the intro, which then we cut into Venture Brothers, the Venture Industries, where you're hearing Hank and Dean getting the lecture from the Jonas Sr. because they're in their sleeping beds, but Rusty and Brock are waiting for them with a birthday cake. Apparently it's their 16th birthday. And they blow out their candles. Hank kind of pushes Dean aside to do so. And they give them their IDs, I think. I'm assuming IDs, either that or licenses, but I'm pretty sure IDs. And tell them they're official now, and they're kind of burnt and scuffed up, and they're like, what happened to them? And like, laminating accident, but they're still good. You sure if I was born on this date, curiosity killed more than the cat, Rusty mentions. And so it's interesting to see how they brush aside the cloning thing. Even though he's really like open about it with others, Rusty's not willing to be open about that with his sons. And also the whole interesting how this episode explains, not only has this happened many times, like the way season 2's beginning tells us, they've perpetually been, for a long time it seems, 16 years old. Like, they have been 16 for a long time at this point. And long enough that Hank looked at his ID and was like, I'm not born on this year, and this is not when I was, this is not how old I'd be. And they brushed that aside, of course, and they're like, we got a big day ahead of us, got a whole new set of events to do. But intriguing to see how they kind of want to keep that a secret, even though they're like not keeping it a secret from anyone else. Sort of. I think there's some people they want to keep it a secret from, but like the way they just kind of give it to Orpheus. I mean, Orpheus is a neighbor, but it's just interesting to think about. And it's just really, I just didn't find it intriguing because it's like a lot of foreshadowing of like, there's been many years that they've been 16. Like, that's the real big thing to take away from that little small bit of information, is that they have been 16 for a couple of years. And you can assume based upon season 2's beginning, the last episode, that they just have died so many times, and they just keep having to restart. I don't understand. I guess because they keep dying at 16, 15, I'm assuming. Because I'm like, I don't understand why they haven't gotten older. Like, why doesn't Rusty, like, the clones would still get older, you would think. But maybe because Rusty's like, no, they have to reset. I'm uncertain. That's a little curious. I'll have to think about that as I progress through the series and we'll discuss it further as we progress. But for now, we go to the Henchmen 21 recruiting. 21 and 24 are doing a great little role-playing thing where 21's asking 24 like, are you a bully or a victim of bullying? Have you ever watched a movie and been like, damn, I can't wait for the villain to show up to kick that good guy's ass? And he's like, oh my god, it's like you're reading my mind. I'm not a mind reader, sir. You, sir, are another person who can get into the great world of henching, but I can never join henching. I'm just a man between the ages of 18 and 30, who is a loner, who likes ties to friends and family. You, sir, are the top candidate to become part of the Monarch henchman crew. And some thuggish-looking guys and type of guys kind of surround them and start like getting interested. And one of them finally asks, can we carry a gun? Can we carry a piece? Specifically, is what they say. Like, of course. And you get a dart gun, as well as a grappling cannon, to name just a few accoutrements of the mighty Monarch crew. And one guy asks, what kind of ride do we at? Like, how does a massive flying cocoon sound? Wow. And 24, wow, a flying cocoon? I can already feel my life getting better. It's so well played, and this really is a good showing of how good 21 and 24 actually are as henchmen. Although they kind of do this really quickly and half-assedly, they straight up just recruit a fucking crew in just a matter of hours. And then it cuts to Monarch walking down the hall, and then the fucking cocoon starts flying, and he like falls over, and he's like, no fucking way, and goes out there and is like, I can't believe you guys did what I asked you to, and well done. And he's like, yeah, it's great. 21 and 24 are like, yeah, the new guys stole some stuff from Sergeant Hatred's hover tank, which well, whatever, but it's broken now. And 24 is like, all right, let me handle this. You know how me and 21 have been your henchmen forever? We think we should, get new numbers like 1 and 2, and 21's like, or 2 and 1. And Monarch says, fine, yes, whatever. Although he says whatever, I like to point this out that he, in this part, considering that these are the oldest members of his crew now, because there's no one else who's, from the original Season 1 crew. We only have 21 and 24 from the Season 1 crew. Monarch is basically, yeah, you can be 1 and 2, I don't care. Choose which one you want to fucking be, take it. 21 points out it's not that easy, though, because he's like, henchman 28 front and center. and a guy calls out like, "You want me? You gotta roll my fat ass over here." And I told you, my name is number one. And showing that it's, at least with this new crew, it's not gonna be so easy to become number 1 and 2. But it is interesting to point out, I'd like to point out, that Monarch is willing to make them, not even willing, he basically accepts that they are his two, number 1 and 2. Like, whatever, sure. Especially during this period where he doesn't have Dr. Girlfriend. They are his top fucking henchmen. These are his best men. They did what he asked. He asked them to get the fucking cocoon running, and they did that. They got a full crew. They did that. They're a fully manned, fully operational cocoon. It's what he asked, and they pulled it off. Despite it being totally against the rules, if I understand correctly, as this episode plays out. But great. And Monarch's like, it shows finesse that the number 1 dude who said he didn't want to be number 1 and tells him to come over and meet their leader, that he's wearing the Monarch's crown. He's like, take that off your head. And then 21, I smell weed. We then go to Rusty and Dean. Rusty is leading Dean through a clothing shop, it looks like, and it's like, this was a big day for me when I was young. Which I want to talk about real quick. It's like, why was it a big day for Rusty? I really don't understand that when I think about it. Jonas Sr. was obviously a very horrible father. He didn't really care for Rusty's actual well-being or even, honestly, growth, it seems. The only indication that he kind of cares was in past tense, episode 11 of season 1, where he was calling him at college, but he was in college and kind of just trying not to deal with him. And he was telling him to cut his hair, essentially, is what I understand was the last thing. Literally, their last conversation, because you also find out he dies in that at the end of the episode. And so, why was it a big day for Rusty? Part of me thinks it's the clone thing that makes Rusty willing, pushing this. And he's like, alright, I'm going to make sure this day is always good. There's also a part of me that's like, okay, why was it a big day for him? Well, maybe it was Jonas actually showing some kind of interest in Rusty, some actual love and affection by buying him a speed suit and actually showing him how to get it all together. But if I recall, when you watch Jonas, the majority of the stuff with him doesn't really show him in a speed suit. He's in his overalls or he's in that jungle outfit. I'm trying to remember, but I don't remember him in a speed suit. Although, speaking of which, they ask for a speed suit, and then basically Rusty shows off his suit and is like, we're looking for this. And she's like, oh, that's a jumpsuit. Go look in this aisle. And he's like, don't you ever... Well, Dean's like, oh, so my present's a jumpsuit. And Rusty's like, don't you ever call it a jumpsuit. It's a speed suit. Speed suit, Dean. You got it. But again, it's so interesting to think about why this might have been a big day for Rusty. Why Jonas might have put some effort into it, possibly, or was it just his coming of age time? Was it something that he did for himself that he truly felt that was important for him? If it was his 16th birthday, then that means Jonas was still alive. But yeah, actually, I just thought about something. There's a point where he explains his 16th birthday party, and there's a shit just goes bad for him. And it's so weird to think about, because I'm not sure how Rusty would even... It's the whole that Rusty's life and childhood was sucky. And yet this was apparently something big for him. And it's intriguing to think about for me. I don't know. I can go on about that forever. I'm sorry, I'll stop the tangent, though. It then cuts to Phantom Limb and Dr. Girlfriend arriving at this mall, which they had to cut out, where they pulled out and showed this, so showing that it was the same mall that Rusty and the family were at. It also then shows, excuse me, Monarch is basically tailing her. You see the cocoon. She obviously notices it, but they kind of duck out, and Phantom Limb, locks the car, because he's like, oh yeah, of course. So fucking funny how, it's obvious she knows. We then go back to Rusty and Dean, they got a red jumpsuit for Dean. Pulled off all for him, and looks like a nice little beautiful candy Santa or whatever. Although, they don't ever come back to this suit, actually. I don't think they keep him in this. He kind of keeps to his sweater vest for the majority of Season 2. As far as I remember, at least. But maybe I'll have to actually continue this season and try to remember as we progress. But funny things happen in here where, like, Rusty messes with Dean's ass and is like, how's it feel in the seat, huh, son? And he's like, you gotta fit tight around your nethers and gotta make sure. It's interesting to see if this is something that Rusty's really into. He really is into jumpsuits and speed suits. Like, they do this here, they do this with later episodes, and fucking Season 6, I remember they really push on this. But it's intriguing how much Rusty cares about speed suits. It is pretty awesome, but a random thing to be obsessed with. And odd he's pushing it on his son. And odd that he's pushing it only on Dean. Hank's obviously with Brock, which we'll get to in a second, but first it goes to Phantom Limb and Dr. Girlfriend, who are in this kitchen shop kind of thing, and Phantom Limb's going off about some boring stuff about some knives that literally Dr. Girlfriend's like, I cannot care less about this. And Lim's like, she wants to inspect the Wusthoffs. But Dr. Girlfriend's like, no, I'm gonna go get a nosh, which I realize now means food. And just is like, I'm leaving you, Lim, here, whatever. Because you're just a fucking weirdo. And he's just going off about really, like, pretentious bullcrap that it's that kind of shit that you're like, whatever, man. You don't really need to care about that. It's a goddamn knives, dude. Are you a chef? No? Well, then shut up. Fucking weird rich bastard. Then it goes to Brock and Hank. Hank is throwing a football at Brock, and they're talking about an item that Brock has to get back because fucking Hank broke it while he's playing with it. Brock hints at least. And it's just interesting to see that Hank's with Brock while Rusty's with Dean. And this is their birthday. I do have to remember that. That's something I did kind of forget while I was watching this episode. That this is straight up their birthday. Rusty is with Dean getting him a jumpsuit. Hank got a Nerf football because, well, it is his birthday too. It's kind of weird. The contrast is strange. Obviously, Hank gravitates towards Brock and all that crap, but it's also weird that Rusty's so willing to allow that kind of gravitation without any kind of questioning or any problems with it, and just is like, whatever, I'll just fucking hang out with Dean, my main science son, who will carry on my legacy that I kind of don't care about because I hated my dad, but now that I'm older, I kind of care about because it's my legacy more now than my father's legacy, and it's kind of a weird venture legacy that I kind of care about. That's the questionable thing with Rusty. Does he even give a shit? We'll see as we progress, but it's hard to say. Especially in regards to the venture legacy and industries and all that. He is obviously not caring about finances on a certain level because of the whole not making money off the cloning thing, but also he cares about his venture name to an extent because he's all about utilizing it to gain certain, contracts and shit. We'll see. It's just odd to think about. Then we go to Monarch, who kind of cuts off Dr. Girlfriend, who was getting a cinnamon roll, it looked like. But then when it cuts to Monarch hugging her, she no longer has the cinnamon roll. But then when it cuts to them sitting down at the table to talk, she does have the cinnamon roll. And then it's kind of hard to see because they're kind of like, their hands are near each other. It's just kind of sorry to point out the cinnamon roll, I thought it was a weird cut where you're like, where's the food go? And then she has the food again, and you're like, oh, okay, whatever. And then so Monarch is basically trying to console and get back Dr. Girlfriend. He's explaining that he was, well, okay, I was going to say he's explaining that he's sorry, but no, he does a whole, like, I forgive you. And then she goes off on him, which she fucking totally deserves to. Also explains that how, like, I knew you were tailing me, and the cloaking device doesn't work when you're in 4th gear. Monarch explains that we need you back, and then she's like, do you need me because of the cocoon, or do you need me because you love me? He explains that he does love her, and that I always thought when I heard your voice and, like, this is heaven, I always believed you. And it's like, she goes off about, no, you threw me out, called me a whore, and went right back to arching to Rusty Venture. You didn't care about me or anything like that, which is kind of true. Monarch, God, it's unfortunate for him. But he gets a call from 24 about how the Rusty's there. And he kind of is like, alright, go out and attack, move in. And he gets caught by Dr. Girlfriend that he's talking to his henchman again. And she's like, I can't believe I was falling for this. I'm leaving. And it's funny because then he has the channel open where 21's with the new guys and they're fucking listening to him. And he's like, oh, does he know this channel's open? Ugh. And one of the guys are like, damn, he's getting wrecked by this female. Damn. So true. Destroyed. Then he like freaks out, grabs Dr. Girlfriend, and is like, don't leave, please. Phantom Limb shows up, like, unhand her. He knocks her out with the fucking tranquilizer dart. Goes to attack Phantom Limb. Calls out this one guy. He's like, you, number 2 with fried rice, get down. Brilliant. Shoots up a few darts. Phantom Limb blocks it. Monarch runs away with his wings, and they do a whole beautiful scene afterwards where Monarch is doing a monologue in his head about how much he basically loves Dr. Girlfriend and how much she just makes him go crazy, and how he's I think he does a fucking line from some show or something like, here I am holding a goddess and I am a fool, something like that. Uncertain. I'm a little uncultured when it comes to certain references. And then we go back to the Venture family. They unite. Hank makes fun of Dean about looking like the mayor of Candyland. And then, oh shit, there's Monarch henchmen everywhere. It's ambush. Brock pushes the boys back, and then they have to like guard against this attack. Brock like stabs a dude with a fucking like wax thing that he had bought and pushes wax out of him. Brutal kill. These henchmen, though, they pull out real guns and start firing real guns. Like, one of them punches Rusty in the face and knocks his eye out really hardcore. And then one of them shoots Hank and then hits him in the belt. And then after Hank tries to hit them with a Nerf football, of course. And it's intense how hardcore these henchmen go. Monarch like freaks out because he hears the gunfire and hits into a wall, and Dr. Girlfriend falls over and hits where Hank and Dean are, while Monarch falls on Rusty and is like, shit, mall cops, and then they run away, we're capturing Rusty, and Phantom Limb then sees Brock and is like, hello there. Brock, by the way, got shot. Didn't say that, but Brock got shot by these guys, because that's the whole point of them fucking going hard. It's kind of interesting. We then go back to, after the commercial break, we come back to Brock waking up with Phantom Limb. Phantom Limb explains that he removed not only 1 bullet, but 3 bullets, a meager handful of buckshot, a shark's tooth, and a bayonet blade. You may want to learn how to duck. So good. Brock explains that he's going to pound his face in if you don't explain things. Phantom Limb, this is like the first time we actually have levels mentioned in the guild way, because he's like, Monarch is using level 5 offensive weaponry against a level 1 threat in regards to Rusty, and he also explains that he doesn't have a guild license and he's operating with full costume and aggression without one. Straight up, apparently Monarch is just completely breaking the rules. He mentions, and as we progress here, he mentions how like if this gets out, his career will be ruined, which I think is a foreshadow to the later season's finale stuff, but I'm not sure exactly, because it really is hard to tell what in this scenario would make his career be ended. His girlfriend being kidnapped, Rusty fucking and the Venture family being kidnapped by a costume aggressor who's not licensed, the fact that Monarch is not licensed, the fact that he's acting on costume aggression, the fact that he's out of prison and no one knew or did anything about it. There's so many different things that is like, what in this scenario would harm you enough, Phantom Limb, to lose your position? He also does a whole speech about like, you're a smack dab in number 2 of the Guild of a Calamitous Intent. And Brock is like, you like doing that, don't you? Oh, yeah. So besides the walking death ray speech, this is the behold the hell speech is the greatest one ever. So good. It then goes to Monarch, who is actually lecturing his crew about how That's not how we do business. This is not how we do things. You don't just rock in there with fucking actual firearms and start wailing on people. He demands their guns, and they, of course, refuse him and imprison him, 21, 24, and Rusty all at once together. It is brilliant how Monarch gets punked in this, unfortunately. Then we go to Dr. Girlfriend, who's with Dean and Hank, and is like, where's your car? We find their car, Brock's car, in which she knows how to pick the lock and also knows that a trap goes off. Dean kind of is like, how'd you know there was going to be a trap? And obviously, Dr. Girlfriend just knows Brock. It's interesting how it's one of the things that this episode really shows is that these two, at this moment, don't know this person. They are very like, who are you? How do you know us? How do you know anything, all this stuff about us? And why do you know all that? Like, why? And it's interesting to think about how, like, they're very well acquainted later on in the series. But these two straight up have no idea about this woman. There's also a chance, and I've thought about this just now, that because they're cloned and they don't have those memories, specifically the memories of season 1, because I'm like, actually, well, no. Like, even in the trial of the Monarch, I think they were outside the room when she showed up. It's really weird to think about. I'm not certain exactly that exchange, but cloning memories could be an explanation for why they don't know her. They have Hank drive also. It's kind of great. Which is one of the few times we do see Hank drive. I think later we see Dean again, but never Hank again. Although I think it's because, at least the implication I'm now thinking about is that Hank can drive. He just can. He's able to, and it's whatever. We then go back to the Monarch, which is awesome because it shows the mighty Monarch, and a little thing where it shows his face. And then you see the cocoon, which is beating some nice and fat beats. You can hear the bass. And it goes into the Monarch's prison cell, where Monarch's freaking out about how he's with Rusty and how he can't breathe the same air as him. Rusty's like, I don't know what your problem with me is. He even is. Monarch does this whole like, I can't believe you. I would smack that face of yours. 21 is like, dude, chill. We gotta figure something out. And we can actually do something if we can just get some weapons. Monarch points out that we're on the other side of from the armory. He's like, yeah, but we're right under my room, which totally has some weapons. And he points to a duct or whatever. I don't even know what it is, honestly. And all three of them, 24 starts it, but all three of them are like, you're not fitting through that, man. It is awesome, and I would agree. It looks like a small hole. I don't know how 21's gonna do it. We then go back to Phantom Limb and Brock. Phantom Limb's giving him a muscle growth accelerator. He explains that he had when he was a good scientist. He makes a whole dick joke about how fucking Rusty is not as good as he was. And Brock does a whole oh, what, you first time something goes wrong, you get yourself a costume and make yourself a villain, huh? Big pain in my ass, huh? So awesome. It's also in this scene that they talk about how, we have to do this subtly and surgically. And Brock, although I understand, Brock explains that someone has my family and I need to do something about it. And Phantom Limb points out, not without me, you won't. We then go back to Monarch and Rusty and 21-24, those four. And they're pulling 21 out through the hole. And he looks all greased up. Monarch is like, good call on the WD-40 to Rusty, said the Monarch begrudgingly. Never go anywhere without it. But thank you. Why does he never go anywhere without it? Why does he always have WD-40? Now that I'm thinking about it randomly, I'm like, what the fuck is, other than greasing things, why would he, what? What the fucking shit, man? Yeah, I looked it up. It's a lubricant. Why does he have that? Why? Why does he always carry? Why does he go nowhere without it? Is he just finding things to lubricate? Wait, I'm gonna look up at what else it can do. One moment. Yeah, it's a lubricant. It also protects metal from rust and corrosion, but why does Rusty have that? Other than he's a scientist, I guess, but it's very strange for him to have. And then, so 21 brings them to his collection, and 24 comes up and is like, are these them? And fucking 21's like, are these they? Who talks like that? Monarch goes up and is like, I'm the leader, I'm gonna distribute the weapons. Are these they? Yep, and you must say it's a very formidable collection. It's a bunch of comic stuff. Like, the only kind of weaponry thing is a sword that you can't take out of the box because it's mint in box, which I think is the Sting from Lord of the Rings, the freaking Frodo sword. And there's also, like, there's a Captain America shield and a bunch of other kind of random crap. It's so funny. And Monarch goes off about how you're an idiot. And then Rusty's like, oh, no, it'll be look great and make them laugh when we walk in there with butterfly costumes. Monarch claps back to Rusty about how, like, oh, really? Nice onesie, dick. Do you make poopies in there? 24 gets all hyped, man. It's like, oh, in your face. Oh. And fucking finally 21's like, stop. Even though Rusty's like, this is a speed suit. Like, oh, really? It's so fucking funny. And 21 explains that we have a cocoon to retake, guys. We can't be doing this. It's so awesome. I love how he's bringing this 4-man together, making sure it keeps together and get this job done. Then go back to Brock and Phantom Limb, which they're getting on at some helicopter suit things on. Well, Brock is kind of talking about how Dr. Girlfriend might have a scar on her because he thinks he's a dude. Like, he's just unconvinced that she is not a dude of some kind. And although, even though when Phantom Limb swears that she isn't, and he's like, alright, well, I guess then Monarch is better equipped. That is as full guild weaponry you have right there. No. Better equipped. She was kidnapped. And then they explain how the helicopter rolls, and Brock's like, just like my kind of helicopter. And Phantom Limb rides off, and he's like, let's go. And Brock's like, I thought for sure you're gonna hit me with lock and load. The night is still young. Great lines. Brilliant episode. God. We then go back to Hank and Dean and Dr. Girlfriend. Dr. Girlfriend explains that she had a tracker put in the Monarch a long time ago because she's dated supervillains for a long time, and she kind of is her own type of supervillain type of girl, so it's just how things work. And they do a whole, like, well, how'd you do it? Did you put it in your tongue and put it in his mouth? Like, oh, no. I put it underneath my tongue and then, stuffed it down deep down in his... Well, you do weird things when you date supervillains. I can't decide if she put it up his ass or in his urethra. I would assume ass, because, like, that's the only way to make it work smartly. But, crazy. So awesome. But apparently they have a tracker and they're following and finding where Monarch is, which is where the rest of them are. Dean also kind of is like, wow, mommy, you're doing great. And Dr. Girlfriend's like, I'm not your mommy. Stop that. Then it goes back to the Monarch cocoon, which you see a guy get net gunned or something, and it has Brock and Phantom Limb. Phantom Limb killing a guy with his cool ass arms, and Brock being like, hell yeah, this net gun is the only one I've ever actually used that actually works. They then kind of are like, alright, who's left? And they spot 2 guys, and fucking Brock is like, I want to show you the twin somersault roll thing. Like, you were mad, sir. Cannot be done without a trampoline. Oh no, you'll love this. And Phantom Limb jumps out there and like falls down jumping out there. He's like, I've been ripped asunder by your violence. Please, have mercy. Brock comes out and is like, give me those guns. Have some mercy. Do I have to do it? And they give him their guns. And so he throws them away. Phantom Limb kills one with one of his hands. And then Brock uses one dude's own finger to push it up his ass and to kill him, and then throws him away. Phantom Limb even points out, like, he did that with his own finger. Well, it was only one dude. You show off. Brock then is like, I hear my car. Breasts out of the fucking door, out of the wall. Dr. Girlfriend and the boys come out and are like, whoa, what's up? And Brock's like, what the hell's going on? And then they notice that they can hear something, and they start listening through the door on the other side, which is the 4-man crew, Monarch, Rusty, 21, 24. They're all kind of geared up. Monarch has a Incredible Hulk fist, the one that always goes Hulk smash when you punch with it. And Rusty has the Magneto helmet, the comic book Magneto helmet, and which he also has Magic the Gathering cards, and 21 points out. Like, you can throw those at them and totally get them a nice paper cut. And they do a fist bump together and then come out the door. Monarch's in the lead, goes into the outro. Which, after the outro, it shows that Monarch got his ass beat completely. Dr. Girlfriend points out that he's fine, his vitals are great, he's alive. Phantom Limb goes off about how I didn't know you put another tracker on someone. Like, it's so funny. And Phantom Limb is like, of course I'll let him go, because no man can resist your womanly charms. And Brock is like, no man, I'm still looking for scars on her. And he gets a dart right in his neck and knocks him out. Phantom Limb knocks him out. One of the things I gotta say, it's like one of the few times I can think of that Brock legit gets knocked out. Like, and Phantom Limb gets the jump on him. If that had been a kill dart, you could say that he would have been dead. Granted, Brock is the type of person who probably has resistance to poison of some kind, or in much other things, because it's Brock fucking Samson. Henchman, killer of henchmen, slayer of men. Slayer of henchmen. That is the end of episode 2 of season 2, Hate Floats. Guys, this episode is amazing. I really do enjoy it. It has some of the best parts, some of the best lines, some of the best fun. It sets the tone of this season really well, where it's gonna be a little more upbeat, and also how this entire season's dynamic is. Phantom Limb and Dr. Girlfriend on their side, Monarch 21 and 24, Rusty, Brock, and the boys. These are our major players in this season. This for most of the series, but this season specifically, these are all our big players, and in those specific camps too, for the most part. Dr. Girlfriend's with Phantom Limb, 21-24 with Monarch, and then Rusty and Brock with the boys. Or the boys with Rusty and Brock, however you want to see that. This series just does so well at storytelling, and how it builds these characters up. The next episode is nothing but just a grand old explanation episode that really gives you a lot of good information. So please stay tuned, or rather tune in, and listen to that explanation, to that discussion, and discuss it with me. Hit me up in the comments of YouTube, or give me an email, or whatever you want to do to be able to discuss Venture Brothers. I'm always willing to see other. I really would love to hear other people's opinions about it. It's a brilliant show in my opinion, but if you have any kind of different opinions of certain characters or anything, I think 21 and 24 are some of the best written characters in this series, as well as just in general. I think Brock's development is some of the best in the series as they progress, next episode especially. Hank and Dean are, of course, the greatest character development, but that's because they are the Venture Brothers. And I also really enjoyed Rusty. Even in this episode, Monarch and Rusty's interactions were some of the best interactions in the series. And they are really good at tone setter for their relationship. One of the really big things that came out of that whole exchange is that Rusty does not know why Monarch hates him. Monarch believes it to be so fucking affronting that he will literally smack his smug face if they weren't in prison, and wants to just hates him. He just hates Rusty. But whatever it is for, Rusty does not know what it could be for. At the very least, Dr. Venture, Dr. Thaddeus S. Venture, does not understand why Monarch hates him. I'm assuming that's going to come up soon in the series, that we have the special coming, by the way. Hell yeah. I look forward to it. Everyone, this is Supreme Puzzler. Sean, signing off here. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you are on YouTube. And if you're not, can you check me out again on wherever you get your podcasts. Have a good day. Goodbye.